Good morning, everyone. I have a testimony to share with you all, and I'm sorry in advance because it will be a little too long. So I got married, and I had difficulties getting pregnant. We prayed with Pastor Miracle, we fasted, and at one point, even my in-laws didn't believe that I could get pregnant. And God has been so good to me. He made it happen. But then I started being attacked. The attacks were very horrible. I was seeing snakes everywhere. I had dreamed of snakes. I dreamed of being attacked. And each time they just wanted to get my pregnancy away. They even revealed to Pastor Miracle that I was not going to see the new year, but Jesus has made it again. I went into the new year, and then in January, one day I lost so much blood, and honestly I thought that I lost the baby. So I went to the hospital, and after all the exams, even the doctor was actually very shocked because everyone was sure that yes, she lost the baby, but the baby was well and sleeping in my stomach. So then everything was okay, and then I started having hyperemesis. For those who don't know, is when a lady gets pregnant and she develops severe nausea and vomiting at the point that she can't even eat anything. She cannot drink. Everything will just come out. So I was on IV fluids, and they even transferred me home with a whole box of fluids and Zofran that I was taking directly to my veins, and it's not something pleasant to go through. But God has done it again, and He helped me during that journey. Though in April, I was told that the baby was going to come out with a C-section because there was no change in the baby growth. So she was very small and not growing in the stomach. And I had an anterior placenta, and also my umbilical cord was not in the middle. And then around late April, they said that there was a fluid around her heart, and she was diagnosed with fetal pericardial effusion. I cried. I cried to God while dealing with the hyperemesis at the same time. I even asked myself, like, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through all this? And then I called Pastor Miracle and I said, this is what's going on. So we prayed about it. We had scheduled prayers, and even my husband started changing at home and all that. We were just praying for all this. And then after being put on high-risk pregnancy, I started having about 4 weekly visits at the clinic. So 2 visits for the growth and 2 visits to check on the heart every week. In May, I had an accident. My car was totally lost. And even the police came, and they did not want to send me to the hospital, but I had to insist for it, which was not normal because a normal pregnant woman, no matter the situation, once you get into an accident, the first thing is to get to the hospital. So, and then they allowed the lady to escape, the one who hit me. So she ran away. Thankfully, when we got to the hospital, the baby was okay. My car was totally damaged, so I lost the car. My husband, the next day, he found broken eggs behind the house. And that morning, he sent me the picture. I was in the room. And I called Brother Miracle as soon as he sent me the pictures. And I told him about the eggs that he found outside. And then we kept on praying about it because we didn't know where it was coming from. We didn't know what type of eggs it was. We didn't know anything about it. So we were praying that every demonic attack is Jesus or nothing. So during my pregnancy, I've been attacked, especially with all those snakes in my dreams and the eggs. But God has done good to me. And later on, my mother came in June. In between, that one too was actually God's grace, because even my own family didn't believe me at first, and then they thought I was just being lazy until I was on IV fluids and all that. And then there were so many things happening that she even doubted coming earlier, because she was supposed to come and help like late July. So then in mid-June, the baby had gained weight. I danced and I started thanking God because I trusted in Him. I had to put, like when the Bible says, put your entire trust in Jesus, let Him do the job. Sometimes it's hard, but we just have to trust, close our eyes, and just let Him do the work. So, and then the scheduled C-section that they were going to do that day, they said they were not going to schedule the C-section anymore. And we prayed and we thanked God for it. So by the end of June, the baby was doing good, and they said the fluid out of her was still there, and we were still praying with pastors. We were still praying. So I had an early contractions in the beginning of July, and then I went to the hospital that the evening of that same day, and the nurses wanted to send me home. The doctor said no because the baby's heart rate was dropping, and she said I was still 1 centimeter dilated. But guys, she did not check me after like 3 hours from the time that we got to the hospital, my husband. So then they didn't know my dilations. I told them that I was still in pain with my contractions being about like 2 minutes apart. They didn't do anything. Then my water broke, and it was too late and risky for me to push, because they said the baby was actually very tired and pushing was risking her life. So her heart contractions and everything was still dropping. The heart rate was dropping. So they had to send me to the operating room ASAP to do an emergency C-section. But when they removed my child from my stomach, she was not crying at first. It took her about a minute before she started crying, and then I told them that she was not okay, because what I saw was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was not really promising. I just busted into tears. And they said, no, she's fine, it's okay and all that. So they sent her out with my husband to meet my mother outside. And it was about 1 a.m. when I joined them in the post-operating room. And the nurses who sent me, they checked on her. They said she was okay. But then the next one who came at 2 for the vital signs, she said that her oxygen was at 76. For those who know much about medical stuff, a normal oxygen saturation got to be above 92. So 76 is like the person nearly dying, like almost off. So she woke me up immediately, and she said we had to send her to the neonatal intensive care unit as soon as possible. And I just said, go ahead. That's how they took the baby away. And I explained it to my husband and to my mother what was going on. And then around 5 a.m. they said they needed to give her the surfactant to open her lungs again so that she can breathe, because she was still not breathing. Guys, I don't know if this is not God, because I don't even know how she survived without the surfactant between 2 a.m. until 5, because all the oxygen saturation, the oxygen that they increased to her was not helping. She was on CPAP. To see a child, first of all, she came super early, so her weight was very small, and the CPAP machine was taking almost her entire face. I cried, but I had to let God, trust God to do his work through the nurses and the doctors. And then she was on nasogastric tubes, and that's how she was even getting feeding and everything. She was on IV antibiotics. She was putting into the nerve so that she could get warm, and they had to monitor her for 4 days before sending her back to me before we could leave the hospital. And after that, the doctors were supposed to call the cardiologist in the meantime, but they didn't. So when I found out about it, I called the cardiologist so that he could come to the hospital and check on her. So once he got to the hospital, he checked her heart and everything, and he said the fluid around her heart was gone. However, he found that she had 3 holes in her heart, and it was going to take about 6 months to a year for all 3 holes to close so she could be okay. And if they do not close, she was going to develop heart issues. After that, we had scheduled appointments so he could follow up on her. Everything started getting better. She had developed increased bilirubin, which gives jaundice, and I told Brother Miracle about it. We kept on praying. My family also, with all the issues, actually, by God's grace, we all joined it together, and we kept on praying for the baby. And then within the first month, the level went from almost 17 to 1.5. So she had cleared with all the hepatic issues and the jaundice. Everything went away. And then within the next 2 months of age, because she's 2 months right now as I'm talking to you guys, she had her heart appointment with the pediatric cardiologist last Friday. And when we got there with my husband, we did all the tests and everything. The cardiologist looked at her heart, and he looked at us and he said, "This is a miracle." She is one of the rarest cases ever since he started working as a pediatric cardiologist, where all those holes actually closed within the 2 months age. It didn't take 6 months for even the first one to start closing or anything, and we didn't have to wait for the entire year. We didn't have to go to all the appointments and what if this or that happens. This is God's miracle. Jesus has done it again into our life. I am so grateful for this. So now she is cleared. She's a healthy baby. She gains weight, and she is within the 50 percentiles of age compared to all the babies with the 2 months age. So there is nothing that God cannot do. We just have to trust in him